Um, this is the Betamax man. So here's what I'm working on today. This is a Sanyo model 6800 is the model number. This is the faceplate. This particular machine is this is a 4-head unit, and it's a really nice machine. It has some sentimental values to me because I think about, it was probably roughly 5-6 years ago when I was looking for a Betamax VCR. This was the one that I found. So the 6800 Sanyo Betacord, that was the first beta machine that I ever owned. And that's why it's so special to me. So, even though this is not the one that I found, it's the same model number. So it's the same exact machine. So it still has sentimental value to me, even though it's not the actual machine that I got. But it's the same thing as the one that first beta I ever owned. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to plug it in. And I'll show you guys what's going on with it. Let's get plugged in here. Okay. Okay guys, so we have power. We can power it on. You know, as you can see, the lights are lighting up. You can see it's got power. You know, it works if I can get it to work. Sometimes I can, once in a while, I can get it to play tapes, and when I'm able to get it to play a tape, I put new belts. I got all new belts are installed, new idler tires. So the mechanical part of it is still good. So we got the mechanical problem solved, but now we have an electrical problem that we need to deal with. So let's put a cassette in, and if we hit play, you notice nothing is happening. And in order for me to get the tape to come out, I gotta turn the motor for the cassette housing. This motor under here is for the cassette housing, cassette basket, but the proper term is cassette housing. That is the proper word for the tape mechanism. See, and it'll do that. I even tried the remote control. Even the remote control had no response. So what I'm looking at is a problem with the board. This front board with all the buttons on it. So it's failed. You know, I don't know if it's a transistor or a resistor that has failed. I'm gonna have to investigate that. We also have some capacitors on this board. This board has some capacitors on it. So this board seems to be working though. Seems to be this board that's dead. Now sometimes if I look at this circuit board right here, I can look at it, and sometimes I can cool. I think there might be some caps. That is interesting. I moved that, and I heard a sound like a motor sound or something. So I'm looking at the capacitors on this board to see if any of them is bad. I need to test the caps on this board here to see if, because I'm pretty sure that there is some capacitors that have been leaking on this particular board. The last time I worked with this machine, I pulled the board out and I seen some of them that were leaking. So I do know that we have some on this circuit board that has failed. There's no capacitors on this particular board for the buttons and stuff, which is unusual. I would have thought that there would have been a couple of capacitors on this one, because on this one there is, you know, but this isn't the one that has the trouble. See, if I hit the button on that board, it lights up. You can hit that, that'll light up. So it's not this board that's failing, it's this one. This is the board over here that's failed. But what I want to do, when I was moving this board and flexing it a minute ago, I could hear a motor turn on. So we have to make sure, I have to rule out that there is some caps that are bad on this board, and maybe replacing the caps on this board will restore its function to play and other buttons. So what I'm going to do is test these caps on this board, and I want to take it completely out, and we'll solder in some new caps and see if we can't get this thing to operate. So I'm just curious. I'm going to go ahead, since I heard that motor noise when I was moving that, I'm just curious if it'll work again. Because this thing shouldn't be having those issues, but it is. You can hear the switches and stuff, so yeah, so we're dead here. If I flex the board a little, see? So I was moving this board, and as you can see, it actually threaded the tape. Very interesting. And this is going to be a fun one. So just by flexing that board, there were things that were happening. Of course, now that I want it to do something, so I'm going to look on that board for caps. I know two of them have blown their guts, so let's see here. Yeah, nothing. See that? That was interesting, huh? Yes, it was. Let me get the remote. Let's see if I can get it to work with the remote. I doubt it. Yeah, I'm giving it commands and it's not responding. So let's just put that back there. Yeah, so that was interesting. So that definitely is very weird. And we're gonna go ahead and let's go on this side. See if I can get it to do it again. But okay, I think I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna search for the I'm gonna pull that board completely out here and we'll see, and then I'll test them out. I know 2 of them will replace. The thing that sucks is that when these caps, when they start leaking, they can damage the traces on the board. So that can be an issue. So I'm going to go ahead and unplug it. I'm going to pull the circuit board out and test them, and we'll go from there. Okay, so here's something that I was looking at and was thinking that maybe this board plugs in to another circuit board. So basically this plugs in to the pins. There's some pins. You see those pins? Those pins? That's what it goes into. And it wasn't plugged in all the way. It wasn't plugged in fully seated. So maybe that's the issue. And maybe we can get this thing to up and going. Now, I thought that there was a couple of capacitors that had leaked out, but I think maybe I was thinking of a different machine, because I was testing out the caps and they all tested fine. They didn't, and I don't see any that have been leaking, so it might have been another machine I was thinking of that had the leaky caps. But yeah, I've tested them and they were fine. So I think my issue might be is to just reseat the plug-in, because if this board obviously controls this board. So this board with all the buttons connects to this board, and that's where the command keys, when you press the button, and it all runs off of this one board. So let's get this board, I'm going to get this board back in. I'll plug it back in and get it to where it's fully seated like it should be. And we're going to pull, and I'm going to plug it back in. And then once I do that, we'll see if we've made any kind of progress. I did not test all the caps. I just tested these over in this area. But we'll see what's wrong with this thing and see if we can get it up and going. So we'll be right back, because this is going to take me a little while to get these pins to line up correctly, especially because I think a couple of the pins bent ever so slightly. So it might take me a little bit, but we'll cut back in. This will be instant for you guys. We're going to cut back in, and this board will be reinstalled, and we'll see what happens.